Beyond the fascinating landscapes and interesting inhabitants of the Elder Scrolls universe, one of the coolest things about its lore and the cultures of the many races and provinces is how they've been individually influenced by the presence of higher powers. Whether it be the Aedra or the more nefarious Daedra, the very fabric of Tamrielic society seems to be structured around the teachings and worship of these omnipresent forces. In Skyrim, Nordic culture is massively shaped by dragons and the staunch worship of Talos. In Morrowind, the reclamations consisting of Azura, Boethia and Mephala had a distinct impact, and the list goes on and on. So, when the Dragonborn comes into contact with many Daedric artifacts, blurring the lines between the realms of mortal and immortal, it's hard not to be awestruck. In this video, we're going to list off the top 5 Daedric artifacts in Skyrim. There's a million different ways to judge which artifacts deserve a place at the top, so we're going to base it solely around how useful we found them, rather than delving into the unique lore behind them. This list is all about practicality. The artifacts we chose are the ones that will make you the most powerful if you wield them. In no particular order, let's start with the Ebony Blade. Where to begin with the Ebony Blade? This beautiful weapon resembles the daikatana used by the Akaviri, and belongs to the Daedric prince of lies, sex, murder, secrets, and plots, Mephala. Much like its owner, this blade is dark and deadly. In order to get their hands on it, the Dragonborn must find the Whispering Door in the basement of Dragon's Reach, before restoring its power with the blood of deceit. That's right, this blade is fueled by betrayal, and in order to acquire it, one must kill someone who trusts them. Fortunately, this malevolence is justified by just how insanely powerful the blade is. The living sword feasts on the life essence of those it strikes. Attacking an enemy with the blade will absorb a whopping 30 points of health from foes per hit once it has consumed the lifeblood of 10 trusting allies. What makes this blade so OP is that the already powerful enchantment doesn't require recharging. If you can keep swinging at enemies in battle, you'll be pretty much invincible, restoring health as you lose it. Obviously, this blade isn't for the pure of heart. You're going to have to get your hands dirty, but for such a powerful weapon, you can at least rest in the knowledge that your friends didn't die for nothing. In order to get your hands on this next Daedric artifact, a variant of Azura's Star, you're going to have to double-cross someone. Only instead of double-crossing petty mortals, you'll be deceiving the owner of the artifact, Azura herself. This artifact is the Black Star, and it's pretty unique as it's actually a corrupted version and a better version of the real artifact. While Azura's Star acts like a soul gem, allowing you to trap white souls, the Black Star takes it a step further, allowing you to also trap black souls, which are always of the grand level. During the quest of the same name, the Dragonborn travels deep into the necromancer-ridden dungeon to reclaim the broken star. One outcome involves returning the star to Azura's shrine for Azura's Star, while giving it to the exiled mage Nellakar results in obtaining the Black Star. There's no question that the latter is much better, so if you're okay with getting in the bad books of a Daedric prince, you'll be made considerably more powerful for it. What makes this artifact so useful is that you can do away with carrying around endless soul gems to restore your enchantments, as the Black Star stays intact once it has been drained. And considering how often you find human enemies who have all grand souls, the Black Star is so much better for enchanters. Combine this with soul-trapping weapons like the Mace of Molag Bal, and you'll be unstoppable. Our third Daedric artifact is one of the creepiest of the lot, but also one with the ability to corrupt even the purest of souls. Belonging to the Daedric Prince of Forbidden Knowledge, Hermaeus Mora, and written by the legendary wizard and scribe to Auriel, Xerxes, this tome is riddled with mystical secrets. This tome is of course the Ogma Infinium. The book is a sight to behold, seemingly stitched up shoddily from a piece of skin from each of the mortal races, but reading the contents of the Infinium grants the beholder near demigod abilities. However, in Skyrim, the book disappears after you read it, in order to prevent the reader from tapping into too much hidden information. You obtain this artifact by opening a Dwemer puzzle box, which can in turn only be accessed by harvesting the blood from each of the races of Mer. Upon reading the book, the Dragonborn can follow one of 3 paths: the path of might, the path of shadow, or the path of magic. The first adds +5 to all warrior skills, the second adds +5 to all thief skills, and the last +5 to all mage skills. One could only imagine what permanent access to this book's secrets would entail for the reader. Next up, we have the Ebony Mail, an artifact belonging to another of the Daedric princes revered by the Dunmer. This prince is Boethia, who represents deceit, conspiracy, treachery, and sedition. Boethia is also known for relishing in the suffering of mortals. Sounds like the kind of character you wouldn't invite to a party. The Ebony Mail is a set of ebony armor forged with all of Boethia's evil. Upon closer inspection, the set emits a smoky black, as it quite literally is poisonous. This reward comes at the end of one of the most interesting Daedric quests, in which you take it from the body of the former champion of Boethia. Aside from being a sturdy set of ebony armor, the Ebony Mail is unique as it makes you move more quietly and inflicts 5 points of poison damage per second to any opponents who get too close. This artifact is an introvert's best friend. When used with a character who tends to get up close and personal, there are a few armor sets that are more useful. Last but not least, we have potentially the vilest artifact of the lot. This is the Mace of Molag Bal, and it is the perfect representative of its namesake, the Daedric Prince of domination and enslavement of mortals. This mace isn't pretty by any stretch. It is covered in sharp spikes, it glows an ominous green, and even has the horned skeletal visage of Molag Bal himself engraved into the head of the weapon. Acquiring this artifact is quite memorable, as the Dragonborn ventures into the abandoned house in Markarth, before embarking on a quest of revenge for the Daedric Prince. Once attained, the mace channels the will of its owner, trapping the souls of those it bludgeons to death. On top of its base damage of 16 before smithing, this mace deals a solid 25 points of magicka damage and stamina damage per hit, and it casts Soul Trap on the target for 3 seconds. As I mentioned before, if used in tandem with the Black Star, the Dragonborn can enslave the souls of everyone he or she kills, subjecting them to an eternity of domination, much to the pleasure of Molag Bal. Subscribe to FudgeMuppet and give the video a like if you enjoyed it, guys, and follow us on social media to keep up to date with all the latest Bethesda news, as E3 is just around the corner. Links can be found just below in the description. But with that said, thanks so much for watching, I've been Drew, and I'll see you next time.